everybody. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to find the extrema of polynomial functions when you're looking at the graph. All right, before we even get started, go ahead and copy this down, pause the video. Welcome back. Now, before we even start with an example, let me break it down for you in simple terms. Yes, she wrote down that the absolute maximum is the highest point, absolute minimum is the lowest point. Just so you know, and from the cheer that you learned in class with the positive, even, negative, even, positive, odd, negative, odd. Whenever you have a positive, even, or negative, even graph, that is the only time you can have an absolute maximum or an absolute minimum. Positive, even graph are the only ones that have an absolute minimum, and sometimes they may have a relative maximum or relative minimum. And a negative, even graph is the only one that have an absolute maximum. And then, if you have a positive odd or a negative odd, those are the only graphs that will never have an absolute maximum or an absolute minimum because of those arrows. They supersede those high points and low points. So that's why they can only have a relative maximum or relative minimum. So let's got you there. So let's look at this first example. I've already labeled all of my points, my turning points, as the order pair. As you can see, this is a positive even. So since it's a positive even, it can have an absolute maximum or a minimum. And if you remember from the previous notes, it will only have an absolute minimum. So I'll just write the order pair. And then I'll also write the order pair of my relative maximum and my relative minimum. Looking at this example, this is a negative odd. So since the negative odd, it's not going to have an absolute maximum or an absolute minimum. That's why I wrote none for both. But as you can see, the other highest point at 2, 2 will be my relative maximum, and the other relative minimum point will be at 0, -2. So in summary, if you want to copy this down, just to summarize it all, the only graphs that have an absolute maximum or minimum are your even functions, positive even, negative even. And the only ones that will have no absolute maximum or absolute minimum will be your positive odd and your negative odd. And that's it.